Hello everyone, this is Renault, and today I'm going to review this copy of Lady Death, Nightmare Symphony Ritual Edition. Now, this is a book series by Brian Pulido. He's been making the Lady Death series on and off, mostly on, since the mid-90s. She was a very popular character from then. You can see how she comes from that 90s era. She's very voluptuous, sexy, deadly. Even the name kind of has that era of the 90s, Lady Death, I just recently did a comic that held back to the worst aspects of the 90s. With the whole edgy humor, edgy jokes, wanna be edgy, but not really done very well. And this book also clearly hails from the 90s era, but it has some of the better aspects. You can see she's voluptuous, very sexy, but not overly done. It doesn't have edgy language. It does have stakes that are realistic and not handled cartoonishly. Now, Brian Pulido recently got back the rights to Lady Death, like in 2016 or so. And then ever since then, he's had occasional crowdfunders on Kickstarter to keep the series going. And he has been a powerhouse mastermind. He's been crowdfunding his books to a tune of about at least $150,000 for almost every single one. Often much more than that. But again, the bare minimum is almost always $150,000. It's not uncommon for him to raise $200,000, $300,000, however, on Kickstarter. And so he's been having like one Kickstarter two Kickstarters every year, at least one every year, sometimes two. And he's been kind of like the proof that crowdfunding your comics can be a way of life. And so that's what he's been doing for, again, going back to 2016. He's a really good guy from here. I recently subscribed to his channel on YouTube just to keep up to date. I wasn't quite willing to pull the trigger on Brian Pulido's Indiegogo, but after reading this, I think I will go back, or at least put this book on my pull list. And so this is a great cover. Sometimes you get comics and the cover is not at all relevant, or the cover even sucks. But a lot happens in this book. I understand what your boy Zach means when he says, "Oh, it's really hard to review a good comic because there's not really a whole lot to say." And that's kind of the problem I face here. This is an excellent comic. It hits most of the marks. And so, right away, I can't start off with the first page, just because I want to make sure I'm not showing too much of the book. So, Lady Death is in the middle of battle. In media res, it's what it's called. Like, the story is in the middle of happening. She's wrecking demons. She's wrecking face. And then she feels that someone has joined her on the battlefield. Here's a little goon who comes up and tries to approach her, yelling and screaming at her, and she's just not having it. So this is after the battle. The battle has been won. The agents of hell are really pissed off at her because she has usurped the throne. And she is now the Lord of Hell, or the Lady of Hell. And during that time, there's someone from her past whom she's fallen in love with. This soldier. This soldier helped her during the battle that just took place. And so she has rekindled feelings. There's some familiarity here. Their eyes meet. And boom, those feelings that were below the surface but never spawned up, they have some time away from each other. And then those feelings are re-inflamed, or inflamed for the first time, because the feelings were there, but they never realized it. Now they do. Anyway, look at that. Just look at it. You would never see something like this in Marvel or DC. Not anymore. Just look at that. Anyway, their love is rekindled. You can see them. Battle lust gives way to desire. So you can guess what happens next. It actually shows it in graphic detail. But again, So much stuff happens that I want to make sure that I hit the key points, but there's a sex scene with them naked. Let's skip a couple pages. Now, as you might imagine, during that situation, she's no longer a warrior. She settles down, has a family, her husband or her mate, and two children, and they're living kind of an idyllic life. But this woman and her henchmen or hench demons, this guy in the background, and these three here, this guy, and this guy, they're plotting evil. So, how would you like to destroy a legend? And it shows her. Oh no. My house is on fire. Gasp! Again, the art is really good. And even though there's so much happening, the only thing I'm lost is who the characters are and what their general relative importance is, because the story is moving by so fast. But the storytelling is so good, I still get the general details. This woman hates Lady Death. These four henchmen, don't forget, this guy in the background has just killed a human and feasting on him, so I think he's like a vampire werewolf, which is a pretty cool combination. Reno approves. But anyway, Vampirella is later. Lady Death sees this, and she even talks about how she can't even maintain a simple glimmer charm. You can see the glimmer charm is just wearing off. I think this moth is a symbol of the glamour charm. It's not glimmer charm, it's glamour charm. I've heard that before. Raven, look, oh no, the two babies that I talked about earlier have been kidnapped, and her husband just got wrecked. I tried to stop them. Oh no, disaster has struck. Again, if this was Marvel or DC, this would be 6 comics for all the stuff that's happened so far. And I'm only about halfway done. Marvel and DC, this would be 6 comics to tell all this story. And I wanted you to see something hardcore. This next page. He's dead. He dies in her arms. She's pissed. She opens up a gate to where she knows where the people are. She opens up a gate to go there. And oh no. Oh no. Boom. Boom. This is how you handle 90s comics without being stupid or juvenile. It's like there's serious stakes here. Her children are dead. Unless they have some sort of hellfire protection, it's all over and done with. Now, these clothing is a clue that they might still be alive. Because think about it. You know, if you're going to burn a baby, you don't really need to undress it, right? You just toss it in the fire pit. I think this is a clue that the babies are not dead. That's just me. But anyway, this is pretty hardcore. Let's skip a couple more pages. Sorry, I've, like I said, my what are these called? Bookmarks have vanished into thin air. I have no idea where they are. So instead, I'm using Alterna Comics cards. Buy independent comics. You don't need Marvel. You don't need DC. You can just buy Alterna Comics. So, there is something I want you to see. Lady Death, the 4 henchmen, this is the vampire werewolf I was talking about earlier. When she sees the babies getting burned, she just gets ambushed. And in Marvel and DC, because she's a woman, she would have been the best fighter ever. But you know, an ambush is an ambush. You can kill any sort of master if you get an ambush on them, and they don't see it coming. Plus, she's emotionally distressed, which is probably the point of of, waiting for her to see the bodies, putting the clothes there so that she knows to look into the fire, and then she looks in the fire and sees the bones of their burning bodies. That's so that she was emotionally vulnerable and caught off guard. And look, it happens what anything would happen. Even if she's a badass, and they might not be as badass as her individually, but there's 4 of them. Ambush, boom. Oh, we're not done yet. Wreck. Pow. Boom shakalaka. He doesn't actually do anything except talk shit. He doesn't actually do anything, but, that's okay. He launches these bat swarms. They drain her of her blood. They weaken her. She's already been beat up some. So, it doesn't show what the bats are actually doing. They should show, her cuts on her face or something. 1,000 bites. Dripping with poison. So, she's defeated. This was the woman who organized this little shenanigan. It's actually... and this is a good callback. This is a nice detail to show that they're still fighting in front of that fire pit with the dead babies. So, again, this is just a reminder of where they are. I like this little simple detail that just lets us know still. So it's 5 against 1, not 4 against 1, even though he doesn't do anything, but that's okay. He created this, and that's good enough, although he's got muscles, so I don't know. He could have joined the fight if he wanted to. But it doesn't matter. It's 5 against 1. Lady Death is getting fucking wrecked. So, you know how the Sarlaccs, if you get... Hold on, let me skip a couple pages. I have run out of bookmarks, you guys. I was using that as a bookmark. I was using this as a bookmark. And I was using this as a bookmark. But I've run out of bookmarks, so just a second. I had to skip a couple pages to what I wanted you to see. Just a second. So while I'm skipping pages, you know how in the Sarlacc pit, if you get thrown in there, you get digested for thousands of years. So this is the Lady Death universe equivalent of a Sarlacc pit. She gets thrown inside of one, and they toss her inside. So she's inside the beast. She thinks about her dead children, and it gives her strength. She thinks about the family she's lost, and it gives her inner strength instead of succumbing. And boom, explosion. She's able to escape. She pretty much just explodes the beast. Destroys it. She is ready for some revenge. Again, the art is so good. And, now, who's this douchebag? So anyway, this is apparently some sort of friend of hers. So, this is the tower where, Lady Death got ambushed. But he's like, don't even bother destroying this tower. They're gone, gone, gone. So he's just messing around and toying with her a little bit. If only someone could stop them. And so she's like, no game, seance. Tell me exactly where they are, or I'll burn down all of hell to find them. So apparently, he's a denizen of hell, and hell is important to him. And he's probably also a friend of hers. But yeah, this was a good comic. Oh, 14 minutes. I did not expect it to... I guess even with good comics, you can still have a lot to say. Take that, you boy Zach. Anyway, I highly recommend Brian Pulido's work if this is the type of offering. Again, it went a little fast for a newbie like me, but it's clear that there's background, there's backstory. I wasn't lost. It's just, who is this guy? Who's that guy? Why exactly do they hate her? She's taken over the hell, and they're pissed off at her about it. That's good enough for an action series, you know? Again, if the thing about Marvel and DC and the problems they have is they're action stories that don't have any action. And then when they try to do slice of life, they don't do the slice of life very well. So anyway, enough about Marvel and DC. Who gives a fuck about them? It's just, I only talk about them to show that there's a stark contrast between a good comic and those bad comics. And apparently, there's going to be a Coffin Comics Sworn Festival in Mesa, Arizona, February of 2021. Details and tickets will go on sale in 2020. I might just go. I mean, it's over a year ahead. Yeah. I can't guarantee that's not a promise or anything, but Brian Pulido and Coffin Comics, they've got their heads together. Anyway, I'm blabbering at this point. This is Renault. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button and hit subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.